guys and girls, we're back here on YouTube. It's been a little over a month since my last video, and that's about to change. We're going to start doing Let's Edit videos again, and hopefully I can bring back Fugaropolis Focus as well. It's all in due time, but let's just get started. I just published these photographs on the blog the other day, and I thought, well, why not do a Let's Edit on this set of photos and kind of explain the thought process behind how I iterated from one to another. So I was on top of this place called Lookout Rock. It's just kind of a hill that looks out over the Blackstone River Valley, which here's the river that runs through the area. And there were some ski tracks here that just lead down this rock face. This is actually just kind of an open rock face that has this nice little view of the southern and western skies of the area. And what I first set up was just a normal horizontal shot here at 11 millimeters, f11, 1/40th of a second, nothing too crazy. I decided to zoom in just a little bit, so the next shot you can see it's just a little bit tighter. So I kind of reset myself up and I zoomed in a little bit here. I'm now at 14 millimeters. Kept everything else pretty much the same, but you can see it's a little bit tighter, so it's different perspective of the shot. I think the river's a little bit more pronounced here, and I kind of like that a little bit. But it was just kind of, I wanted to see how these two kind of differed. And then finally, I went to a portrait orientation for the shot. And by doing this, I eliminate the trees on the right-hand side. You can see here in both of these shots, we have some trees on the right-hand side, and we have a little bit of shrubbery on the left-hand side. When I go to this portrait shot, I eliminate those trees. The river's still there. There's still the hill in the side here, and we still get the view of the ski trails, and they're actually a little bit more pronounced, a little longer. It kind of brings you further into the photograph, and this is the image that I ended up actually liking the most out of the series. Now I'm going to show you the kind of process to go through and get the post-production of it, because as you can see here, it is a little bit underexposed. This is actually a slightly underexposed end of a bracketed set of images. I went with this one because I liked the sky and I didn't want to go HDR with it, although I could. I think there's enough information here where you can pull the stuff out of the shadows and everything, and it will be okay. So let's just get started with the post-production aspect of this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my crop tool here, and I'm going to just come across and try and get this horizon as level as possible. I think that did it. Let's see here. So if you don't know the crop tool, you can just grab this little tool here. It's basically a level, and you just drag a straight line across wherever you have a straight line, just like this, and it will align your image to that as being the horizon. So you can do that however many times you need to do to get the perspective that you want. The next thing we're going to do is brighten this whole image up a little bit. First thing I think to do would be to raise the shadows and see how that works. You can see it doesn't really actually bring a whole lot in, so that just tells me that we're going to have to actually bring the exposure up as well. So here's that. And you can see as I do that, we do get the colors coming back in here in the foreground and everything in the midground, which is nice. I did lose a lot of that sky detail, so I'm going to have to reduce those highlights a little bit. And I'm actually going to come in here now with a grad filter, just something like this, just to bring a little bit more. We're going to reduce the highlights and drop the exposure just a little bit, just to bring a little bit more definition into that sky. Something like that. So we're coming a long way here. The next thing I think I want to do is work on the color temperature of this image. Now, it's actually probably correct as is, or very close to, because you're getting these whites in the in the snow, which is a good sign that your white balance is right. You know, your snow isn't blue or green or gray or whatever. So that's a good sign. But because this is sunset, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to warm the image up just a little bit. And I'm going to add just a little bit of magenta. And that will give kind of that illusion of kind of a warmer glow of the sun and everything, which I think works nice. The snow is still white and very bright and everything, but just by adding that little bit of color to the overall image really works. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the vibrance to get that to really pop, and maybe even add a little bit of saturation there. So that really adds a lot of definition and interest to the photograph. I think we're getting a little more color here. Now we need to add some contrast, and to do that I'm going to use the whites and black sliders, and I'm just going to set my white point just a little bit to the right here, really make those whites kind of pop, and I'm going to drop that black point just a little bit, maybe not even, maybe we'll go -10, something like that. So now we're in pretty good shape. We have a little bit of contrast here. We have a nice bright snow. We have the darkness of the valley below, and we have nice color in the sky and detail there. Now we need to do a little bit of cleanup. So you can see there's just little bits of things in the snow that maybe are kind of distracting. So I'm going to go through with my clone tool now, and I'm just going to clean up some of these little things here. And this is, you know, just some little minor details, just things that, you know, might be a little bit distracting because they're just pulling focus from the overall scene. So like you can see right here, there's a little leaf in the photograph. So I'm going to just clone that out, and it just will disappear, and it won't pull for focus. It won't look like it's not supposed to be there. I'm also going to come over here and get rid of this bush here as well, just because it's pulling a little bit too much away from the image. And these are little details that, you know, you could leave in if you really wanted them there, but because I don't feel like they're adding anything to the image, and not having them there, I think improves the image, is why I'm kind of going to do that. I'm actually probably going to crop a little bit of the left-hand side. Let's see what this does here. Just so I don't have to clone everything out, I'm going to come in with maybe a crop like this. And then I can just finish up with this little bit here. You know, you want your edges to be on the, you know, not distracting side of things. You don't want to be like, have something in the edge of your frame that's going to compete for attention of your viewer. You want to make sure that your edges are more or less distraction free, because the edge is kind of what defines your overall image. You know, the edge of your frame is really the only way for your viewer to escape. If you think about it, you have what you've framed in your image, and everything within this image should have an importance for you. It should say something, and there should be a reason why it's there. The things on the edge of your frame are ways for your viewer to escape. So if you have, you know, this path, if this path was leading and it actually continued to go off out this left-hand side, your viewer's eyes would actually follow this path and actually fall off the frame and wonder why it's not there, like what happened to the left-hand side of the image. But because the image actually vanishes over the edge of this little rock face here, your eye actually travels with it through the rest of the frame up to the river, and kind of it just, you know, completes everything. So that's kind of the reason why you want to make sure your edges are very clean and that there's no distracting elements there. To finish the image, I'm actually just going to come in real quick and just do a quick little sharpening of everything. Mainly I want to make sure that we have nice detail in the forest here. So I'm going to do something about right here. That looks pretty good. And then I'm actually going to come up here to my adjustment brush. And what I'm going to do, I have my shadow set a little high here. We'll go about 50. We'll see what happens. And I have my exposure increased. And what I'm going to do is just paint in along this area here, just to add just a little bit more kind of definition to the darker areas of this image, and just really kind of make it stand out. And you can see this really does kind of transform the image. It makes it a little bit more, you know, I guess a little bit more inviting, a little bit more interesting. Just having that little extra brightness there to kind of pop these colors out and just show you the detail that is within this forest here. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, and that's pretty much going to end the edit here. But before we go, let's just go back to those other two images, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of them. So I'm going to use my command, or you can use control, and I'm just going to select both of these images here, and then I can click on sync. And I'm going to sync everything except for the crop and the calibration, and we're just going to synchronize over. Now, this is just kind of taking what I've done with this image and placed it onto these two images. And once they load up here, which you can see I've got my little beach ball. So we have, you know, a nice little thing here. I'm going to actually get rid of my little adjustment brush because it doesn't really work when you're looking at a panoramic image or a landscape style image. So that's not really going to do the trick. So we'll get rid of those. We didn't really need to cut those across. But you can see we've kind of brightened those up. You're going to have to go through and change some things, like your grad filter is probably not positioned right anymore. It really depends on the image that you're syncing across to, you know. So it's all relative, I guess. But anyway, I really do plan on doing more of these videos again, so stay tuned for those. And let me know what you think, and I'll see you again soon.